Nazi concentration camps on UK soil finally to be officially investigated, Second World War.
Here's a summary of the article.
The full horrors of the only Nazi concentration camps to exist on British soil will finally be investigated in an official government inquiry, The Observer can reveal. 80 years on from one of the darkest episodes in British history, the government is to carry out a review into the numbers of prisoners murdered by the Nazis on Alderney, the tiny Channel Island and British Crown dependency. It has now been established that the SS ran 2 of the camps on Alderney during the Second World War, and new evidence of the scale of Nazi barbarity on the island has emerged over recent years. Dame Margaret Hodge, the Labour MP whose father fled Nazi persecution in Germany, welcomed the review. It is time for the British government and Alderney authorities to finally face up to the horror of what happened on British soil. There can be no more lies and no more cover-up. The expert review will be announced later this summer by the UK's Holocaust envoy, Lord Pickles, and the government hopes the investigation will finally end the controversy over the scale of the Holocaust on Alderney. The British population of Alderney, 10 miles from the French coast, was evacuated, which allowed Nazi High Command to turn the island into a giant prison for slave labour. Jewish researcher Marcus Roberts, who has campaigned for many years for the full scale of the horrors on Alderney to be revealed, said, "There are still many questions about what really went on in Alderney and who knew what. For too long, some have been too willing to look the other way in the hope it all goes away. I hope this review will finally provide answers and some justice for the victims."
This post received a score of 4,300, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
So according to the article, the Channel Islands were the only part of the British Isles to be occupied by the German army after Winston Churchill's war cabinet decided in the summer of 1940 they could not be defended. The British population of Alderney, 10 miles from the French coast, was evacuated, which allowed Nazi High Command to turn the island into a giant prison for slave labour. It sounds like they aren't examining behaviour of island residents, but instead looking for accurate statistics for what was done by the SS. I wonder what the procedure will be and what the current resident.
I watched a TV special where Dr. Caroline Sturdy-Calls did the surveys and such to determine where graves might be. She is a fierce advocate for the unnamed victims of the Nazis and bringing their stories to light. They and their families weren't there when it was occupied, but their lives and lifestyle would be seriously impacted by this today, however. It would be awful to find your home was built on a concentration camp. It would be awful to find your home was built on a concentration camp. I think that's why they're so hostile. In a sense, the last thing a moated community wants is for their neighbors to think less about their perfect, NIMBY lives.
That and property values. I understand the feeling. That's a real big downer to find out your home, and largest financial investment, is located next to Auschwitz. But yeah, the feelings of those who survived, the historical value of having those stories told, etc., are way more important.
Greater than but yeah, the feelings of those who survived, the historical value of having those stories told, etc. are way more important. You would get up and move countries because war crimes happened, unbeknownst to you, 80 years ago on your property?
I'm thinking your property would devalue overnight, and the influx of researchers and tourists would be quite a disturbance. Not to mention all the news and film crews suddenly appearing. Your life would be turned upside down through no fault of your own. The story must be told, though. I have spoken with more than a few Holocaust survivors who are no longer alive, and I'm certain it's what they would expect us to do.
For all the people who don't know where Alderney is, it's 15 kilometers off the coast of France. That's how the Germans invaded and captured it. The nearest English coast is 100 kilometers away, making it tough to defend from German forces as they had a strong navy.
Sure wish that title said Nazi-occupied British soil, that would make a lot more sense.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.